world of entertainment. The ultimate entertainment platform. Featuring, from Winkler Pictures and Mike Up Gaming, Mike Winkler. From Condiment Games, Jeremy Larson. Jason Kabasic. The Forsaken Avenger, Martin Houston. And returning to the crew, Alistair Englehart. Created by friends. Listen to our podcast and watch live discussions on Facebook and YouTube. Gaming streaming featuring Mike Up Gaming and Forsaken Avenger. And written movie, short film, and television reviews. Subscribe to our podcast and visit our site for more info. Welcome to LCA Entertainment. On this episode of our podcast,
they're coming. Stay hidden, or we will not survive.
Leave us alone.
When the time comes, he must be trained.
Like you trained his father? You still want Kenobi. He's gone.
Maybe you've been looking in the wrong places. I want every lowlife and bounty hunter to squeeze him. You can't run, Obi-Wan! You can't escape him!
Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Hello there, everyone. In the words of Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Obi-Wan Kenobi Star Wars series has arrived on Disney+. If you haven't watched it yet, what the hell are you waiting for? It's Star Wars. So, let's begin by welcoming back fellow crew member Alistair Englehart. Welcome back, Alistair.
Mike, I always feel like after I see your intros, I realize that I'm not the professional.
You know. But it's good to have you back, Al.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
Absolutely good.
You have been missed. You have been missed. And Jeremy Larson here as well, as always.
Hello there.
So, guys, the Star Wars series we all waited for years.
Mm-hmm.
Years. Was it worth the wait? That's the question.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Good. We're all in agreement
And
there.
season 2 will be as well.
If you haven't seen it, and I know that like no one listening to this podcast probably has seen it already, don't listen to the people who hate on it. Don't listen to the people who are destroying it piece by piece because they're being extremely nitpicky and biased in their own opinions. And it's just, I know it's all speculative, but seriously, this is the best. This is the best piece of Star Wars we've gotten since Rogue One.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I have to concur with that because, well, we're also forgetting Solo. We like Solo.
We like Solo. Rogue One's better than Solo.
Rogue One is better than Solo. But you know,
but that's a whole other podcast we've already talked about.
You know, I couldn't help while watching this that seeing what Disney could have done right. This was everything that Disney should have done from the word go.
Mm-hmm.
They had the right people in charge. They knew what they were doing. And I have to sit there and wonder and question why Disney felt like with the sequel trilogy going more down the nostalgia route instead of giving us a new story, continuing the story, giving us something new instead of relying on the past to tell its story.
They were the Star Wars is a big fish, and to go into that is very daunting from the get-go. If they were to jump in with a new story, I guarantee you that fans would hate it.
Last
Absolutely. Oh, here's the thing. I'm not going to give The Last Jedi some crap. There are ups and downs about the entire sequel trilogy we've talked about.
Oh yeah.
But it's more the fact that I don't think that people are accepting of a new story yet. Because you want to know why? The main criticism that I heard about Obi-Wan Kenobi so much was that there were not enough flashbacks. There was not enough Clone Wars flashbacks.
Really?
We didn't get enough cameos from older characters, and it's a big problem right now with like the MCU and their incredible universe. Their incredible universe is so great, but their problem is that there's cameos everywhere. So because Disney and Marvel are they're owned by the same people, that's what people are now expecting. They're expecting, oh my gosh, let's pull from here, and let's smash it. Yeah, exactly. Where's R2-D2 in this whole thing? Like, there are characters that don't matter to the story because you know why? Because it's Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's all we're focusing on.
Yeah.
Yep.
It would dilute things. Yeah,
it would. If they were to give us a new story in the trilogy, which they absolutely should have done, I feel like there are a lot of wasted characters. There's a lot of wasted plots, a lot of wasted development, everything.
Yeah.
That they're going to think long and hard before going into new story territory with the Star Wars universe again.
Yeah. I felt like some of the secondary characters that they introduced, like Roken, Haja, the fake Jedi, that they didn't even know what to do to even develop those characters.
Right.
Let alone bringing in other secondary characters just to appease the fans. So, yeah.
Well, I think it was really cool making Reva a former youngling. Basically confront Anakin face to face.
It's really crazy. The first time I saw her show up on screen, I'm like, no, she has too soft of a face to be a bad person outright, just to be inherently evil. Because they showed the clip of the Order 66 happening, I'm like, she's got to be a youngling.
Yeah,
yep.
I had the same.
Al and I were talking about that when they aired that. We're like, they kind of played their hand already in the first scene. Like, okay, they're showing this for a reason. Somebody we're seeing is connected to this somehow because these are unknown characters here. So it's like we already knew that either it was Reva or somebody else. But as the time was going on, it was obviously Reva.
Yeah,
obviously.
And Reva was the one character that I'd be curious to hear you guys' thoughts on. I get the flip of her motives in the middle of the series, but it still felt a little bit contrived to me. And I'd like to go back and rewatch the first 3 episodes, knowing what we know later on, to see if her dialogue matches up, if I can sense that underlying motive, or if it just is this surprise to kind of excite the fans in the middle of the series without kind of like before planning for it.
Well, here, give me some more on that. Tell me what you're thinking here, Al.
Because
I play this out right here.
Well, I can sense her. She seems definitely to hate Obi-Wan. Like that to me felt very genuine from the start. Yeah. And the only way I can reconcile that with the complete turn of her actually hating Vader later on is to kind of expect that she's viewing Obi-Wan as the creator of Vader. Like the guy who kind of led to Vader being who he is. Otherwise, it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't get how she can simultaneously hate Vader, but also have such an obvious hate for Obi-Wan. It seems.
Well,
it seems
okay. Here, I'll give it to you straight here.
Yeah.
So like she not only blames Obi-Wan Kenobi for the creation of Vader, which kind of not very many people actually know about. Okay, she's she's a witness to all this, so she's seen things like in passing because of how young she was, so she can connect those two dots. and go, okay, master, apprentice, that something got out of line. But in a way, like, she even, in her dialogue, she even blames Obi-Wan for not being there during Order 66.
Sure.
And I can see where that would be like, you caused me trauma, and now because of that connection, this inherent hatred and this just overall dislike of the Jedi is just going to be focused on you because you're the last known Jedi Master to even mythologically exist to the Inquisitors, because they've hunted down Jedi everywhere. They've hunted down even younglings that have grown up, like in the very first few episodes. It's just, I can see where the hate goes both ways, but the hate is very, very strong for the person who caused that trauma in the first place.
Yeah. No,
No, it makes sense.
yeah.
So I can see where it's connected, and I can see where people can miss that just a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the character of Reva, I guess the only issue I really had with her in the big picture of it all is that how she went to go kill Luke in that last episode, the rhythm of that, the flow of it felt odd to me.
I think she was, and this is all speculation from my part, I feel the connection, because she knew in the beginning of the series that Owen knew where Obi-Wan was. Like, there was some, like, spark there, because...
Like a sense.
Yeah, there was a sense. And for the fact of, finding out the children and just even talking about Owen, she can vaguely connect the dots. But I will agree, it was a little bit forced in the end for her to make that initial connection, because there weren't even names given of who is supposed to not find out about the children. Like, it's not even, they didn't mention Anakin or Darth Vader. They didn't mention anything else besides the child and Owen. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, that's just my only gripe with her. Other than that, I liked the fact that how they played at the background with her at the temple, and what her master plan was to get on Vader's good side just so she could kill him.
Yeah, that was cool.
I liked that motivation. And I had a sense once we found that out that she was going to be redeemed at the end. I mean, it was pretty much predictable that maybe she was going to die, but you knew she was going to be redeemed. Either she was going to die or live. You just knew it at that point.
To be honest, I'd like to see a Reva series so that she can handle that redemption in a long term. Because I feel like just not killing a child seems a little... it seems a little small for a redemption arc.
Yeah.
Even the way I said it just now, it's just like, hey, guess what? Alistair, have you killed any children? No. Agreed. You've been redeemed.
Right.
So you're not Vader. You're redeemed.
You're not Vader.
Yeah.
You're redeemed.
No, I'd like to see the unspoken question of what happens to her answered, because she's not there in A New Hope, which is 10 years later, 9 years later,
about 10 more years later. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so I mean, I thought that with Rogue One they closed the loop well for characters that we didn't expect to be around.
Right.
With the New Hope story. But I have no idea. I feel like Reva would have been around if she had still been alive by the time when the New Hope came around.
Yeah, that's the question. That's the big thing that these shows are doing. They're introducing all these new characters, and they're happening so close to where we see the movies, and we're left with a question mark. Okay, where are these people? Why weren't they around during this big storyline? Like Ahsoka being one of them. Where was Ahsoka during all this? Now that Ahsoka series is coming out, so that'll probably explain some of the holes and the gaps there.
Well, gosh, I mean, even the Rebels animated series. I know this is a spoiler for that as well for people listening.
They've had enough time.
Ahsoka and Vader do face off in that series, and then you just don't figure out what happens to them. That's it. Like, she cuts the side of his mask off, and it's like, oh, then you'll die. And of course. So, and then the door closes. We never see it again. But then she shows up in The Mandalorian, which is how many years later?
Yeah, there's a lot of holes in the timeline that I feel like that Ahsoka series could fill in with some flashbacks and just some maybe just some good dialogue. I'm just hoping they're not going to sit there and they're going to ignore everything and not give us the
yes.
information.
I'd like to see the initial flashback of her facing off against Vader and just kind of escaping.
That'd be cool.
Because there's no way that she can get out of there. And then it being a new story to where she is like vaguely tied to some events that happened in the original trilogy, but not directly involved.
Yeah.
Because you can have that tiny bit of Easter egg, but if you dive too deep into it, it becomes bland.
You see Luke Skywalker's X-wing lifting off Dagobah, and Yoda's sitting there, and then suddenly Ahsoka and then she comments on his just foolhardiness. She's like, he's so much like his father.
Yeah, right.
They would do that. They would do that. Oh man!
All right, Disney, get your checkbook out for the new writer of your shows.
You're giving them ideas. They're gonna go. They're gonna go. Yeah,
Indeed.
you know what? That might not be a bad idea.
So there's a nagging question that I think is the most important question we have to explore tonight.
See, here's
And
the
that
thing.
is,
Here it is.
It's sticky.
How do 3 other Force users survive stabs to the stomach, cutting in half, but Qui-Gon still dies?
The Grand Inquisitor?
Here's the thing. I would say that the Grand Inquisitor has some sort of mechanical-like features like Vader does.
Sure.
And
sure.
when you're talking about a lightsaber, you're talking about just a beam of energy that goes through somebody and automatically cauterizes a lot of wounds that are in there. So they're not going to bleed out.
Right.
They're not going to bleed out because it's already like sealed up. It's just a matter of how is that going to affect your system in the long run, and how do you fix it?
Sure.
So that's a lot of. I'll say it this way. What was it? Harrison Ford or Mark Hamill described it the better this way when he was talking to Harrison Ford on the set of A New Hope. Hey kid, it's not that kind of movie. Like they're not going to go into some like great depth detail on how to seal or how to fix a lightsaber wound to the chest. It's just more of it happened because Star Wars.
True.
Because it's a movie, because it's fantasy. We can believe it because they have a lot of technological know-how.
I mean, Darth Maul survived.
Well, and honestly, I feel like Han would have survived if he hadn't fallen 100 feet to get smushed on whatever was in that
That's
jet.
possible. But why did Qui-Gon die, though?
Why did Qui-Gon die? I know. With how powerful he was in the Force, I have no idea.
Couldn't Obi-Wan have taken him to safety?
Maybe it was too late. Maybe the duel really lasted like a long time, and there was just not enough time.
It's possible. And he was, when he was, well, I'm not gonna say older because so was Yoda, but you know,
Yoda
age is not a factor when it comes to the Jedi. Yeah,
not that we see.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring this up to you, Al. So you remember Molly Miller? Went to school with, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you know how she got into the film stunt business for child actors?
Yeah.
Well, she was in this, and she also had a speaking part.
Really?
Okay, so you know in the first episode when they're showing the what looks like Leia getting dressed up on Alderaan, and it ends up being the decoy?
Yeah.
That is Molly Miller, and she has that line. Yes.
How cool.
Mm-hmm.
How cool.
So
I have to say that I think that Carrie Fisher would have been just floored with the performance that this younger Leia pulls off, because it's so perfect. It's so perfect.
Great job. She's very talented. What's her name, Mike?
Very talented.
That actress?
that I don't know. That's a good question, but she was
her
excellent.
debut. Yep.
I just love just the wittiness, the comeback lines to Obi-Wan, like, who are you? Or you're not a Jedi.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan goes, how
My
old are you?
grandfather.
I'm 10. You know,
Yeah,
I just
fun.
love the banter. And I was surprised because you know what? The trailers did a great job. They didn't even show her in the trailers.
I know. I was really
Vivian
surprised.
Lyra Blair.
Nice.
Is it her first role?
Let me check it out.
She's French?
Parlez-vous français? Leia, oui, oui.
This is not her first performance.
Oh. Worked her way up.
She first thing is called Band-Aid in 2017.
Okay.
Wait a second. Oh, never mind. Sorry, wrong thing. She was in like a couple TV miniseries.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like including this one, but yeah, she's been busy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Good for her.
I'm not surprised because she was just so good in this. She had to have had prior
She was very
experience.
natural.
Oh yeah.
She did a great job with the emotional scenes. Yeah,
Mhm.
she was very good.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Carrie Fisher through and through with her performance. It was
Right.
it was just there,
Hmm.
and it was really upsetting that Carrie Fisher couldn't see it because I think she would have been very proud of what they did.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite moments was in the last episode where Obi-Wan's sharing with her about her parents. Just his very gracious
Yeah.
description of Anakin. I
Mhm.
was really touched by that. I
Did
feel
you
like
guys
the
get
recap-
this? Did you guys get the sense that Obi-Wan might have been somewhat maybe in love with Padme? I almost
Not from Clone Wars.
No.
Yeah.
no, not from Clone Wars. No,
Because
you're
he's
right there.
definitely involved with, well, I guess emotionally involved with Duchess Satine in Clone Wars.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never thought about it, Mike. Did
Maybe
you
a
get that
sisterly
sense?
love, more
Sure.
so.
I think
Yeah.
it'd definitely be like a sisterly thing, but I could
Mm.
not see a romantic relationship off of those two.
Do you recall one shot in the Phantom Menace?
Mhm.
It was in the third act when Amidala's with Boss Nass and Jar Jar, and they're all in the forest, and they're going over the plan of how they're going to attack.
Mhm.
There's a scene where she looks dead on at Obi-Wan, and she just continues to stare at him with it, and Anakin kind of just looks at both of them like this, like he sees it.
Mhm.
I always noticed that shot, and I always scratched my head like, what was Lucas implying there?
Yeah, I'd have to see the context. I'll have to watch that, Mike.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I haven't.
Yeah, watch that scene closely, because that's like the one and only time where I'm like, why was she looking
Sure.
at him like that?
Mhm.
That never happens again, obviously, but
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe if when Lucas made it, maybe he was considering
Mhm.
something there at that time and then just, went the other direction.
Huh.
I don't know.
Sure.
It's interesting. It's an interesting scene to look at.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Huh.
Let's talk about Qui-Gon.
Yes,
I got
was
a
just about to
question.
bring him up. Yeah.
I got a question
Okay.
for you guys on this.
Yeah.
Okay, so at the end of Revenge of the Sith, Yoda tells Obi-Wan that Qui-Gon had come over to the Force to be able to basically appear, to be able to guide through the Force.
Right.
So this is 10 years.
Yeah.
So at the end of the series, is this the first time Obi-Wan is seeing him in his physical appearance? Because
Yes.
Mhm.
10 years,
Yeah.
though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the
He
thing.
wasn't
It's
ready.
another thing that I actually had seen through another video. They explained it in a little bit in the Clone Wars
Okay.
animated series, where Yoda actually finds kind of a like a disembodied version of Qui-Gon in the Force, and he kind of just appears as like sparkles on the screen. That he hasn't really completed his training to do that.
Interesting.
Mhm.
So it could have been a very long time before he would be able to manifest an actual form
Mhm.
like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm wondering now. Like, if they're going to go down the road of season 2, I would like to see that training that Qui-Gon kind of gives Obi-Wan now, to kind of see like what
Right.
what kind of knowledge he gives him
Mhm.
up into A New Hope. Because I feel
Yeah.
like, okay, this is a one season thing that we're supposed to, but that's a pretty big thing to leave it on. That they initially did not want to show us that, because
Yeah.
it seems kind of important to see what
Yeah.
Qui-Gon has to offer him.
I feel like season 2 hinges on Liam's.
I don't
Leo-
think there's going
Liam's
to be a
int-
season 2 of
if
Obi-Wan
yeah.
Kenobi.
if he is interested, we know the fans want it. I mean,
Yep.
every episode, I was telling myself, this is the episode.
Ewan and
This is
Hayden
the
want it.
episode. I wanted it so bad, and then this little tiniest taste was. I'm like, oh. I saw the director Chow. She said that when somebody asked her about season 2, she said, well, if the fans really want it, that would be impactful to us. And I just feel like there's plenty of money to be made in season 2 for Disney. So
That's a bad answer.
I
It's a
know.
terrible
I know it's a
answer.
terrible answer, but that's how they think.
Yeah.
That's not how I think, but that's how they think.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of stories they can do. They have 10 years or 8 or 9 years in between, this and 4 to tell.
Mhm.
But again, I think what they're concerned about is they don't want to go back down the Obi versus Vader route in season 2 because you'll just keep playing up what you just did in season 1, and then you'll maybe ruin what they're going to do or what happened in New Hope. So it comes down to what story is worth telling, that's worth continuing, and it's going to bridge into 4. It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's a challenge.
Maybe a cross between Mandalorian and Grogu's first appearance in season 2.
It's tough. It's really tough to look at that and go, would this work?
You want it, but you don't know if they should.
No, I don't even know if I want it. I'm trying to think what would be kind of a fun season 2 for Obi-Wan. I'm re-going through the Clone Wars right now, and I'll watch for some possible arcs.
I'll tell you one thing I would like to see. If they went down the season 2 route, I wouldn't mind seeing Obi-Wan somehow interact with Ahsoka. Somehow. Be kind of cool to see that.
Cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be really cool.
That might be an interesting way of doing it. Maybe somehow I don't want to say relocating Jedi, because in episode 4 we don't get the sense that the Jedi are being found. It still feels like that the universe is still empty. I don't know. Maybe his relationship with Luke a little bit as he grows up, because obviously we know he has a little bit of a relationship with him, because Luke in episode 4 obviously knows Ben pretty well and is comfortable with him.
Definitely.
So there's ways they could go with it.
Yeah. So did you guys come across any theories behind the tone that Leia used in her message to Obi-Wan? Because her message to Obi-Wan in A New Hope almost sounds like someone who is an acquaintance versus someone who's like, was it because she knew that she didn't want it to fall into the wrong hands and kind of come across that they had this close relationship?
I would say that's a very good way to put it. But also, she's acting like a diplomat. Like, she doesn't want to play off a character either. So, I mean, if you're already a princess and you're trying to relay a message to someone of really high importance, like, maybe she's just trying to make him proud and be like, hey, look at how posh I'm being.
Sure.
Well, I kind of got that sense in that last scene that Obi-Wan shares with her. It's kind of almost reminds me of what happened at the end of Discovery Season 2 when they told them to forget about them.
Yeah.
He kind of went to Leia and basically said, we can be friends, but we can't let people know that we're friends. So we have to kind of keep our distance from each other. So I think that that's kind of why, like, over these next 8 or 9 years, they might have minor conversations, but it's not the same as it was with this journey.
Yeah.
There can only be so much before it becomes too obvious to anyone that is an interested party.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense to me. I'm reading the quote now, and she says, "Years ago, you served my father in the Clone Wars. Now he begs you to help him in his struggle against the Empire." It's just interesting. Yeah, I like that theory. I like that theory. That helps me make sense of it.
So what did you guys think of the fights? Saber fights.
Tasteful.
So good.
Not too much.
You could feel the fights.
Yeah. There was passion, raw passion in them.
There was passion, there was fear. Like the very first one where like it's almost a horror movie more than like a Star Wars anything, because he's just like Obi-Wan turns around and sees Vader there, like Michael Myers just appearing out of nowhere.
Yeah, and I love the obvious conflict in Vader, particularly in the first one. The first fight, to me, there were so many moments when he could have just struck Obi-Wan down if he really set himself to it, and he didn't. So I really enjoyed that. Yeah, I think, and he was obviously more determined in the second fight. He came across as a lot more determined when they came across each other again. But the first fight, Obi-Wan came across as definitely finding his footing in the Force again, which I really liked that development throughout the series. And
absolutely,
I really liked how they portrayed Anakin too. That he wasn't one-dimensional. He was still definitely like the good in him is there. I mean, the good in him that ultimately manifests itself in Return of the Jedi is definitely there, even if Obi-Wan to him his friend is dead, right?
Well, the thing is, I think that Obi-Wan just didn't notice it. I don't think he noticed it enough. Like the obvious good was still right there, but there was nothing. He felt like there was nothing he could do about it.
Yeah.
Because Anakin had accepted defeat.
Yeah.
I think I'd probably feel that way too if I saw him force snap someone's neck.
Oh my gosh.
That was intense. This was definitely Vader at his Vaderiness.
Vader in his prime.
One scene frustrated me, not with Obi-Wan Kenobi, but it goes back to Rise of Skywalker. The scene where Obi-Wan's fighting Vader at the end and he raises those rocks up the way he does was very reminiscent of Rey at the end of The Last Jedi, right? And I couldn't help but think, wouldn't it have been so much better if she would have been a Kenobi? A descendant of Kenobi? This makes me feel like it could have worked with this series.
It could have worked, but the problem is that
they would have had
no plan. I've told this
exactly it.
Time again. There was no plan in the sequel trilogy, so no one had a cohesive idea that developed into something. J.J. Abrams and his mystery box of mysteries that doesn't work out for anybody else in the long run.
Yep.
And it just nothing panned out, I think, the way that we expected it to, and it just kind of felt very mixed and confused by the end of it.
I wish J.J. Abrams would have taken the approach that he took with his Star Trek movies. Okay, he had a little bit of the mystery box, but he didn't go too crazy with it. He kind of held back from making it one big grand mystery and not explaining things. When he got to Star Wars, he's like, okay, well, Snoke's got to be a mystery, and Kylo Ren's background's got to be a mystery, and this and that, and Rey's got to be a mystery. It's like, why couldn't you have just taken the same approach that you took with Star Trek? It worked, and you just felt the need to go above and beyond and create something too special. It's like, this was Lucas's baby. Don't try to overdo what Lucas did. Just continue it the right way.
Yeah, it didn't feel like there was enough. There was too much and not enough at the same time. Yep. There was a lot of mystery, but nothing went far enough to where the next person was going to grab it and do something with it.
Right.
I will say this: I had watched the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special, which is fantastic, by the way. Like I do recommend that for any Star Wars goer. They do make Finn Force sensitive in that movie.
Really?
Huh.
Yes, they do.
It's
because Rey is training him.
Cool.
I think it would have been better if Finn were Force sensitive in the movies, but that's just me.
And it's almost like they hinted at it in the movies. In Force Awakens, I feel like there were little subtle hints to him being Force sensitive. And then Rian Johnson abandoned it. And it's like Abrams wanted to kind of circle back to it, but he felt like there wasn't enough time to develop it, so he's just like, screw it.
Sure.
Yeah. Abrams should have done Last Jedi. He should have done all 3 movies. Therefore, he could have given us his vision from the beginning. Because obviously, I think he had a vision with Force Awakens. I think he did. I don't think he thought Rian Johnson was going to come in and just completely flip the script on him.
Well, because that was the problem with having 3 people wanting to do it their own way, is that it just creates 3 separate stories that have the same characters but don't really match.
Right.
And that was a fault on Disney.
Oh God,
it was a fault on Disney.
It starts with Disney on that. I don't know if you guys have seen the leaked script of Episode 9 that Colin Trevorrow was supposed to do before he got fired. This Episode 9 was supposed to be called Duel of the Fates, a callback to the Phantom Menace.
Nice.
Darth Maul fight Peace.
Yep.
And the leaked script, it just felt like it was a film that wasn't afraid to be the end of Star Wars. I think they made Rey blind by the end of it.
Wow.
They weren't afraid to do that. They killed off, I think they killed off Chewbacca and 3PO. They killed off characters they weren't afraid to do. And Luke's ghost haunted Kylo throughout the whole film. And at the end of the film, Kylo does not get redeemed. the script was not predictable. It went down we're going to throw this at you and what's going to happen is going to happen. And I'm scratching my head thinking, why didn't Disney want to go down this route? Because were they just too afraid that they was going to be a little too dark for them? That they wanted everything to be happy-go-lucky by the end.
Yeah.
It just seems like they were not willing to go the extra mile to make Star Wars something truly special. They had to live.
They want to kill off all their potential spin-offs.
They don't want to kill their money machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I recommend if you guys can find that leaked script online,
that sounds
give it
really
a read
interesting.
because this is what we could have had, and there's even concept art online. Wait till you see what you would have seen. It blew my mind, and I'm kind of upset because that's the movie we could have gotten.
Yeah. Huh. So speaking of spin-offs, what are some characters that you guys would love to see spin-off series off of from Obi-Wan?
Ooh.
If any.
Reva, like Jeremy said, would be, I think, worth it to see what happens next with her.
Reva would be good. What the guy who was I can't remember his name.
Roken?
He was posing as a Jedi.
Oh, Haja.
Haja.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a Haja series.
Yeah, yeah, sure. That actor is really funny. I like
because
his
I think
dry humor.
I think it would be awesome to see a redemption arc for him, not only like just stuff happened afterwards. I know he's a businessman, but
Yeah,
there's so much that can go with that.
That wasn't a magnet. He'd be a good character. I'd like to know a little bit more about him. I was just kind of waiting for a moment where like he showed a little bit of force powers or something, and he found out that he really was, and he was just keeping it buried because of the situation at hand.
Sure.
That would have been pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That boy that was helping him out. You know who he reminded me of? He reminded me of one of the little boys that we saw at the end of Last Jedi that were force sensitive.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it really reminded me of that scene.
Unfortunately, the time doesn't work with that.
No, unfortunately not. And that's another storyline from Last Jedi that never got developed from Rise of Skywalker, but that's a whole different thing.
Kid with a very, very small bit of force, and you never see him again. He just ends up sweeping for the rest of his life.
I was shocked that we didn't get. We only got one hello there, and it was saved for like
hello there.
Was it like the third or fourth last line of the show?
That's the thing. Here's a few things about the criticisms I'm hearing about the show. The hello there's, with only being one of them.
Criticism?
There's a yeah.
Oh yeah, there is. There's a community out there that's.
They wanted more of it or less of it?
There's they wanted more of it. I still think that one would have been enough.
Yeah,
it was.
You don't want to overdo it. Yeah,
and the fact that people are saying, "Hey, why wasn't there more Vader? Like, why didn't we just have constant Vader and Obi-Wan?" Vader is the main antagonist to Obi-Wan Kenobi in this series. It wasn't Reva. It wasn't the Grand Inquisitor. It's Vader. And not only are you using him to play with him mentally, but you're doing it physically and mentally, right? And emotionally. You're doing all this sort of stuff. If you put Vader in there in every single episode doing lightsaber battles with Obi-Wan Kenobi, the entire premise of him coming back just feels very forced at that point.
Yeah.
Because he's not given time to develop. He's not coming back into his own without, Vader breathing down his neck like the entire time.
Right.
You can't have constant Vader, or else Vader himself becomes bland, and that is one of the most probably the most iconic villain in all of cinematic history. That you're turning into a very poorly developed character because he is now just rage mode the entire series.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It was very tastefully done. Yeah,
there was just the right amount of him.
You're just gonna hate.
The problem here is I think the people put this series on such a high pedestal. They had so many high expectations, and let's be honest, there was no way it was ever going to meet total expectations. It just wasn't going to happen. And that's why even some of these Marvel movies get trashed. It's because people expect too much. Doctor Strange, the new one, was a good example of that. Expectations were too high of things people thought we were going to see, and then you didn't see them. And the same thing goes here. And it's like, sometimes you just got to let it go with the flow, accept the story as it is, and stop putting everything of, well, this should have happened, and this should have happened. Well, it didn't happen, so accept it. Don't trash it. You know, it's no. What was your guys' favorite moment of the series?
Freck.
It's tough,
Freck.
I know, but
Definitely Freck.
The-
Some of the best lines of the entire series was with that little mole.
the Seth Rogen of Star Wars.
Just waiting for him to light up, you know.
Yeah, what was my favorite one by him? It was there's nothing like a good little order around here.
Yeah.
Everyone likes a little bit of order.
Yeah. He sounded like a friend of mine. He sides with Palpatine. You know, Palpatine did nothing wrong. Like
What?
Yeah.
He was a man with a vision, right?
Where do we start with what he's done wrong?
Brought peace,
man.
prosperity, and order to this
Right.
empire.
Right. Oh my gosh.
The guy that essentially looks like the devil in episode 3 at the end. He did nothing wrong. No.
Oh, and then
No.
you have the undead version. You have the zombie version of that in Rise of Skywalker.
Oh yeah, he's a happy-go-lucky guy. He's somebody you want to go have a beer with, and you know.
Yeah.
I want to go visit Grandpa in the nursing home. He looks like an evil old zombie, but yeah, let me go visit him anyway.
He's connected to 15 machines, but you know.
Yeah, I think in seriousness, I go back to I loved the little moment where he talked about her parents with her. That was just a really
That was so nice.
touching moment for me.
Yeah.
I did see a funny meme the other day about their fight, and someone was questioning Vader after this fight, like what went wrong. He said, "Vader, how did Anakin beat you the first time? I gave him the higher ground. And what did you do in the second fight? I gave him the higher ground," and it shows him throwing the higher ground at him.
Oh, that's so good.
It was good. I appreciated it.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite moments of the series was in that final confrontation between Anakin and Vader. There's a lot of symbolism behind that. You can see the Anakin kind of reaching out to Obi-Wan and almost giving him what he wants, was like acceptance over the fact that it wasn't Obi-Wan's fault, it was Anakin's fault.
Yeah.
Sure.
You can see it because when the blue light, it's actually shown there visually too, where the blue lightsaber shows up, and it's when that happens, that's purely Anakin talking. And then the red comes back. It's whenever the red shows up, it's Vader again.
Oh, interesting. I'll have to go back and watch that.
That's
a
interesting.
great observation.
Yeah,
and you know, I wonder,
Wow.
do you think that was helpful for Obi-Wan to hear? Because he did, even in Revenge of the Sith, he said, "I have failed you, Anakin. I have failed you."
Yeah, and that's the
I
thing,
mean,
is that they spent so much time apart in Revenge of the Sith, because Revenge of the Sith doesn't just take place within a couple hours. It's I think it's like a week's period of time
At least.
And like even in that, there's so much time for corrupting Anakin even further just from outside forces.
Mm-hmm.
You put anything in there to get him pissed off, and there you go, you're corrupting him further.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, those moments when you see his face through the mask are really, really powerful.
I
love
Ahsoka. Yeah.
That's my
love
favorite part.
The final moments of when Darth Vader and Anakin are talking to Obi-Wan. It's a combination of both Hayden Christensen and James Earl Jones, who, by the way, came back in his 90s to do voiceover.
I didn't know he was still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, James Earl
That's
Jones.
awesome.
So this may be the final time that we hear James Earl Jones as
Gosh.
Darth Vader.
What a legend.
And I Cassie really wanted me to bring that up because it would have killed her if no one, brought it up in this podcast. Was the mixture of both of those people who portrayed Darth Vader over the years, and only those two people.
Yeah,
it's just a wonderful callback to the originality behind the villain. Is that the villain always had a bridge that he was on? He was always on a fence between light and good. Or so, light and dark. But he was mostly on dark side because he just had no choice at that point.
Right.
And he blamed himself. He put himself in this hole because, like, we're even fast forwarding to Return of the Jedi in the hallway scene with Luke Skywalker. He's just saying, you know what? I've accepted this. It's too late for me, son.
Yeah.
So he always knew he done bad.
Oh yeah, he done bad. He went and
He
gone
done
down
more
wrong
than
now.
bad.
Yeah. That actually was my favorite scene. I liked the dialogue between him and Obi-Wan when the helmet was cut off, and I like how he says, Obi-Wan, you didn't make me this way, basically blaming Vader for making him the way he is, which I thought was really cool. And then the emotion in Obi-Wan's face, just the raw emotion and the tears coming out of his eyes. Oh, man, that was powerful. That was powerful.
Ewan's so good.
That really felt to me, that scene right there felt like the true end to the prequel story. It really did. And that's why I think that this series was really needed, because even though, episode 3 had a good ending to go into 4, it just was kind of nice to see the life that Obi-Wan has lived due to it, to see how the emotion between Vader and Obi-Wan is still so fresh, even 10 years later. I mean, it's still so fresh. Even the look on Obi-Wan's face when he sees that Anakin is actually alive.
Oh my God. Well, even the first instance of him hearing that he's alive.
Yeah.
Like, I was in shock with him at that moment. It's just like, after 10 years of thinking that he's dead, he's not. He's still there.
Right.
He's still not able to forgive himself, and now he finds out he's alive. It's like, wow. So now I have to deal with this whole new set of guilt because now he's alive, living the way he is and doing what he's doing. And basically,
we also. Sorry, you continue.
No, you're okay. No, you're okay.
We also have a continuity that or something that happens in Return of the Jedi is when Luke takes his helmet off in the end. When Luke takes Darth Vader, you see a scar on the side where Obi-Wan took his helmet off.
Yep. Love
Really?
That.
Dead serious.
Yep.
Well, then I applaud the shit out of him for that. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna go pay attention to that. That
is some great continuity.
There's so many good details in the show.
Yeah.
See, when people think they didn't actually do their homework with this, when you tell me that, it's like they did pay attention.
They understood the assignment.
They knew, because the fans know it. It's like with the Grand Inquisitor. Everybody thought he was dead. It's like, wait a minute, he's in Rebels. What are we doing?
Yeah.
I remember Alistair and I were talking. We're like, what are they doing here? Like, are they literally going to ignore Rebels from continuity? Are they really going to do this? That's what it felt like. And I was like, no, they're going to find a way to bring him back, the old Darth Maul sort of way.
Yeah, I love that.
I don't know why, but his voice, I can't get over his voice. The Grand Inquisitor.
What do you mean? What is wrong with his voice?
You are nothing but in the gutter. We will deal with you later.
Yeah, pretty much.
In the gutter.
Who's in the gutter now?
I want to go back and listen to it again just because it almost sounds
Is
like...
it contrived? Too contrived for you?
Yes, it is.
Sure.
It sounds like say you're trying to sell like a really scary toy, okay? But all it does is squeak like a dog toy. Like that's exactly what I feel.
They should have
when I look at him.
Yeah, they should
have.
It's
like, of course, that's the voice that comes out of him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, of course, this is how you talk. Okay, I got it.
So how did you guys interpret in the first couple episodes, Obi-Wan's relative weakness? Was it just like not if you don't use the muscles, you lose them, or was it something deeper than that for you guys?
I think it was almost like fear based. He was afraid to use them for the fact that he'd be discovered and put everybody in danger, as well as the opposite of what the Inquisitors were looking for. It was just like, hey, we're going to bring out the good in you because it's in your DNA.
It's
like
itch.
Yeah.
You must scratch it. Squeak, squeak. Anyways, but it's just, I almost felt myself like being upset with Obi-Wan. Because it was just like, you are better than this. You're far better than this. And look at what is happening around you, and you are doing nothing. I know that he feels this like super like sentinel post to Luke Skywalker, but even Owen doesn't want him anywhere near the farm.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you trained his father. Yeah, that line was like,
Yeah.
wow,
That was
wow,
like-
burn.
Yes.
Dang.
Yeah.
But
You know what's interesting though is like think about this though. We talk about how Obi-Wan, with like you said, Al, about the muscles not being used, but the same could even be said about Luke in Last Jedi. But see, you didn't see a lull in his powers though. He was still, able to do things that And I don't know how. I mean, to be fair, I don't know how much time. Did they ever say how much time
Between
Luke
when
was on
Kylo
Ahch-To?
went ballistic, I'm not sure. Yeah. Do you know, Jeremy? Because he had been training Jedi, so it wasn't like a lull all the way from Return of the Jedi to
Right.
Rey. But I don't know how much of a break it was between when Kylo.
It's a really, really long time though. It would have. I have to check the timeline.
Because I almost feel like Kylo was not quite like really young teenager, but maybe like 17, 16 when that scene when he had him in the thing with the lightsaber to almost ready to kill him.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like 30 plus years after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
From Force Awakens
Oh, really?
to
30 years.
Yeah, from
Okay,
Force Awakens
yeah.
to Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Yes, 30 years. Mhm.
So maybe, I think
There's a lot that can happen in that 30 years.
yeah, there is, and we know that he was training Grogu as well, right?
Isn't he
training Grogu at some point in that timeline?
Yeah, how many people was Luke training at that?
Well, that was even prior
academy.
to Kylo going ballistic, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, that would
yeah.
That was
prior.
right after Return of the Jedi, so that doesn't count. Yeah, no, I mean, I guess so. That would further confirm my suspicions that it's the atrophy of Force usage, of not using it, but also I feel like if I had been in Obi-Wan's, especially given that he thinks that he failed Anakin, if I had been in his shoes, I would have definitely sunk into depression.
He would have been depressed. He would have dwelled on that for years.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like
Oh, yeah.
the whole Jedi Order is
Like, I think
demolished
until-
because of my failure.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Who wouldn't carry all that weight with them?
yeah,
Right. No, you're right.
yeah.
That's almost a story I'd like to see too. Seeing the story between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens a little bit more. I mean, I know we're getting that with the Mandalorian, but not that story. Kind of like more so.
I mean, we're
what
kind of
happened
getting a
with Luke.
little bit of. I think that is going to leave a really big area for these newer TV shows because with Ahsoka coming out too,
Ahsoka. Yeah.
that's going to be in that specific time. Man, that's a lot of time that you could just open up to a lot of possibilities.
Well, I
you
think
could even see
Kathleen
the
Kennedy.
beginning of like the First Order too.
Yeah. Kathleen Kennedy, I believe, did confirm that every story we're going to see now will be post Return of the Jedi.
Except for
So
Acolyte, right?
So Obi-Wan Kenobi will probably be the last prequel story we actually get.
Is
I mean,
it
we might
High
go back
Republic?
to pre.
I think.
Well, before Phantom Menace, we'll probably see two. I don't know. Maybe it was
Oh, is she talking about within the Skywalker timeline?
That's what she meant.
Yeah.
She meant the
Okay.
films would be all post.
Because I was going to
that,
say
the
there's
films.
so much content to be
Mhm.
had before.
Yeah,
Before Episode 1.
I
that's
want to
the
see
thing
Knights of
is
the Old
that it's-
Republic.
Yeah.
It's very hard now because if you're the more you add, the more likely things are to get screwed up.
Sure.
So I think
Mhm.
staying out of the prequels and the original trilogy is smart.
Mhm.
And because a lot of people don't like the new trilogy, it's easy to go back and maybe fix some plot holes that may have been made.
Sure.
I'd like to see a Palpatine
Only-
series
only
to find out what
May.
the hell he
I
is in
don't
Rise of
want-
Skywalker.
I don't want to see a Palpatine series. I've seen enough of Palpatine in the entire Star
I do want to see a
Skywalker
Darth
saga.
Plagueis series.
At least give me something in one of the shows to tell me what he is in Rise of Skywalker, because I don't know if he's a clone. It's him. The novelization says he's a clone, but the movie basically makes it sound like it's him.
Mm.
It's weird. The novel and the movie are like on two different pages.
Are we surprised?
No, that's Disney for you.
I'm not surprised, are
No.
you?
What was your guys' least favorite thing in the series? There's not much I disliked, but
It's really hard to say
Yeah, I mean,
because a lot of it felt so precise. It didn't feel like there was anything missing from it, and
No.
nothing too overdone either.
I think the only thing I didn't like was what I said before about the Reva going after Luke at the end. It might be the only thing I really didn't care for.
Where that was kind of a forced resolution
Right, a little
get-
rushed.
to get Obi-Wan back to Tatooine before anything else happens.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be, but I don't know.
yeah, I'm not sure, Mike. It's a good question.
That's a tough question. I
I
mean, if
will
that's something
say-
I can pick out of it, I mean, it's not bad.
I am impressed with how little screen time both of these two got. Owen Lars and Baru Lars
Yeah,
were
they did get.
phenomenal in
They were.
this.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they did
For
a great
the-
job.
I wanted more of those.
Mhm.
I love that they used the same actor and actress that they had at the end of episode
Yes.
3. I
Yes.
thought that was so cool.
Yes.
Mhm.
When I saw that in
I
the
like-
trailer, I was really excited.
I
Yep.
like that they brought back Jimmy Smits to play Bail Organa. I like that they kept that
Yep.
intact because that would have
Yep.
felt so weird. They would have recasted that.
Right.
Yeah.
hmm They did it right. Everybody that
And
played
he-
who they played was in this.
Nobody looked out of place in this either.
Mm-mm.
Not one single person. I wish that there would have been more like information about that one like crime planet that they were on, because I felt like that was dealt with too quickly.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That's
one
true.
episode, one and done.
Yeah, one episode they got there, rescue the princess, get out, but there wasn't like any history on the planet. It was just, this planet's just really bad.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was almost like Obi-Wan found her a little too quick, considering how big the planet was. I mean, I know he used, who he used to find the information, but
Yeah.
it all just happened. We have 40 minutes to tell this story. We gotta keep it moving.
Right.
If it was in a movie, it might have been a different story. But yeah, it's unfortunately the structure of a TV series that kind of does that.
I figured out what I don't like, Mike.
Okay.
I didn't like how easily Reva and Obi-Wan were able to talk through a blast door. Unless they were supplementing their
Oh.
voices with the Force.
Well, remember they
Yeah.
had already been shooting at the door for a little bit already.
I
So
could
they'd
see
already
that.
weakened
They're close to
the
cracking the egg.
That's
integrity
true.
of the door.
That's
So
true.
it's just like, stop firing. Let me talk to him a little bit.
We've gotten to about an inch of thickness left.
Maybe
One
they
more
were
shot
using
and
the
it's
Force talking amongst their heads,
Yeah.
put their heads
Right.
together.
But some fun trivia, because I had assumed it was the secondary fortress for Vader from Rogue One, because we see the same fortress in Rogue One
done.
when what was his name? What was the Moff that went to visit him in Rogue One? I don't remember his name. Anyways,
Before Moff Tarkin, you're talking about the other guy
yeah,
that
he's
was
not a Grand Moff. He was just a Moff.
Yeah.
Moff,
Oh man, what was he? Oh shoot.
In any case, I
know what you're
thought
talking
that was a
No, it was actually, he wasn't even a Moff. He was a director.
oh, that's right, the critic.
Director critic.
Critic. Yep, that's
part
it.
of it. So I thought that was a secondary fortress for Vader, but that fortress that we see is actually Fortress Inquisitorius. It's a training center for the Inquisitors on the moon Noor, which is a moon of Mustafars. So it's actually very close to Vader's fortress.
So it's not on Moose. Oh, so okay,
No, it's
never
on a
mind.
moon.
No, I get it.
Yeah,
Okay, that's pretty cool.
yeah,
That
that's
makes
neat.
sense how Vader got there so quickly then. That
Uh-huh.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I
Okay.
thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
I
there's not
actually
much
really
hate in
liked
it.
that fortress a lot. I loved how much it like actually went beneath the surface, and like the
Yes.
water hallway that the
Mhm.
stormtroopers got swept up. You see its little stormtrooper helmet float by.
Yeah.
I loved that scene in that corridor when the
was
water
great.
spilled out. That was really cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When Obi-Wan's just holding it back with the Force.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go,
Yeah,
go!
that was a neat scene. So,
Yeah, that was pretty good.
And what
But
was
yeah.
that was the shortest episode, the one where he goes to that fortress. I think
Yeah,
it
it
was like
was.
a
It was like
30
38
minute
minutes.
run time.
Yeah, it was short.
It was
And the thing
short.
is-
And I didn't feel like I was, upset by it. Like I was
yeah,
left
served its
going,
purpose.
oh man, another one. I
Yeah.
can't wait.
Disney Plus runtimes are confusing because they'll say like 48 minutes, but really the episode's only like 42, 43 because they're counting
Sure.
all the recap and
Right.
the credits, and then they're counting the end credits, and before you know it, that's like 8 minutes worth.
That is my one I really appreciate them showing us concept art and other things at like the end of like Kenobi and the Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish it was put into something a little more short form,
Yeah, sure.
so we can actually have run times. Because I look at like the Mandalorian, there was like 10 minutes of concept art at the end of one of the episodes, and it's just like, okay, is there like, because this is Disney and now Star Wars and Marvel have gotten to the point of, is there going to be like an end credits scene now? Like I have to.
Mm-hmm. Be careful of that. Be mindful of it.
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, here it is. Disney Plus. They have in each show section. They say episodes, and there's a section that says extras. Put the concept art in the extras section,
extras.
not on the episode runtime.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, they have these little 5-minute videos on Disney Plus you can watch that have like art or the music.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen
Yeah.
those? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are good.
Wasn't there a show? Wasn't there a show coming out that was a Star Wars
Visions.
related where it was just? Oh yeah, no.
Oh no,
not
Visions came
Visions.
out. Oh, what is it?
It was like just exploring planets or something like that with
Cool.
with themed music. Like
Oh.
it was.
I just got a vision for
I thought it
Flight
was. Maybe
Simulator
maybe
Star
I'm thinking-
Wars.
Oh God, I
Would that
miss
be
it.
awesome?
For what?
Fly
Just
over
the
all
old-
of Coruscant.
Oh, that'd
I-
be pretty awesome.
I
Yeah, that'd
wish.
be pretty awesome.
I wish that they could make something to scale for Star Wars related like that,
Yeah.
but that would be such a grand undertaking.
When
And you'd
when
have
they
to
really
include
yeah.
you'd have to include so much content in there that it would take years to get done, and by the time you got it
Oh, yeah.
done, the next operating system would be out, and you wouldn't be able to release it because it'd be
Well,
so old.
Yep.
They need to get over their fear of singularity and just let the AI do its thing. Just let it.
AI take
I
over.
was willing to take on the risk of singularity and the whole world being destroyed by AI if it would allow us to pursue this.
All right, Disney, you heard it here. Let's risk humanity.
Disney needs to hire this man.
So that
They
we
need
can
to
get
hire
Flight
this man.
Simulator Star Wars Edition
Oh gosh.
Damn.
within 2 years.
They need to put you on the payroll.
Oh gosh, yeah, I'm excited. I really do hope they do a season 2. I think it'd be really cool.
I do, as long as they
I-
do it the right way. Right story.
I do not want a season 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, Jeremy.
I don't want a season
Don't
2
let them
because
hear that.
I don't. No. I don't want to ruin such a beautiful masterpiece of television.
Sure, that's fair.
This is
That's
so perfect. It's every bit of Star Wars rolled into one,
Yeah.
and it doesn't do it. It barely does anything wrong.
But what TV show can you think of that doesn't end up with an even better season 2?
Lost season 2 was better than season 1, to be fair. But
the end
after
of
season
Lost
2 of
was-
Lost, it went downhill. So, that's a
No,
All right,
that's a good.
This is my
Breaking Bad?
It's sticky point for the podcast episode is Alistair begging for a season 2 because what season 2 isn't better than the first one.
Star Trek, Picard, and Discovery were better than season 1's.
Yeah, but then we have Heroes. Heroes is a good example.
Okay, no. We ain't talking
No,
about Heroes. Heroes.
don't go down the hero.
No,
That's
no,
such
no,
a
no, no.
bad example.
No,
Stop it.
it's an example of how season 2s can go very wrong.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
It's to Jeremy's point.
Yeah. Oh.
Things can get ruined easily.
2,
Heroes
3,
should've
and
ended
4
after
Heroes.
one. Should have ended after one season of Heroes.
Yep, should have been just an extended miniseries. That should have been it.
I'm excited to rewatch through season 1 with my boys, and then never let them see the other seasons.
Just end it right there. Just say it's over
really
after
wanna
this.
do that.
Actually, they never made any more after this, guys. Sorry.
Yeah,
It's like Firefly. It's like Firefly.
Yeah.
It's really good one season. It just they just couldn't get
Firefly
back
knew
to
when to
making it.
stop. Wink, wink. Firefly just had a mini series with the movie. That's it. That's it.
Right.
And it actually works very well. So, not that that was the plan or
You
anything.
want to know? Okay, so I have another thing I wanted to talk about. There's another criticism that went around when the show first started was the chase scenes with little Leia, with grown adults chasing after a young girl and getting stopped by a tree branch.
Sure.
Okay.
Mhm.
I get your criticism. I really do. I understand that it looks cheesy and corny and everything.
Who's paying these
They're
guys?
Also, no. It's like you're looking at this from the point of view of Leia. In this instance, you're looking at these chases from Leia's point of view. And she's just like, man, I entered some brush, and she wasn't able to describe it perfectly well. So what we're seeing is not the full extent of how they were stopped by a tree branch. It's not like they looked at a tree branch and went, I could easily go through this tiny hole here, but I'm not going to. It's just, I think people need to stop hating on Kenobi. Like, that's it. Like,
I think little things. Yeah.
Yep.
There were so many little things. I've seen so many videos of people just ripping this thing up to shreds, and I'm going, please stop. You're not welcome here.
No.
Sure.
No. I mean, to be honest, I read an article yesterday that was about why Solo, when Solo failed, it's the reason why we didn't get an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie. Because initially, after Solo, a Star Wars story, it was supposed to be Kenobi, a Star Wars story, and like Boba Fett, a Star Wars story, and so on and so forth. But you know what? Actually, that worked as a blessing, because I think this was better off being 6 episodes than a movie, because it just would have been rushed through 2 hours where this had time to breathe.
I would not want to see a movie. I would have wanted that. I would prefer a TV show of a longer, stretched out story than to have a 2-hour rush fest full of Easter eggs, cameos, and anything like that. Rise of Skywalker. But
that's the one thing about Solo that gets me, is that I think Solo would have been so best serviced as a series. It would have been. Solo seemed like it had a lot going for it that it could have expanded on. And the movie ends with a lot of stuff to build on, which I don't know if we're ever going to get. We're supposed to get a Lando series with Donald Glover, they've said, but Kathleen Kennedy said, we're just waiting for Donald Glover to be freed up to do it.
Well,
money talks. Just pay the guy and do it.
Don't
wait for him.
Donald Glover. That's right. Yeah.
Here's the thing. Here's one interesting tidbit. The Star Wars game Jedi Fallen Order, the Kenobi series, and the Han Solo film all take place within like the same time. Like, this is extremely close.
Well, they're getting ready to greenlight a Cal Kestis series, they said.
Oh, nice.
I need that. I need that. I'm so ready for the sequel to come out to Jedi Fallen Order. I'm so ready for it.
I mean, they'll get people to buy the video game too. So if they're about money, they should.
And the actor who plays Cal, if you've seen Gotham, you know how fantastic he is.
Yeah. They've already said they're going to cast him.
Gotham. Have you seen
I haven't
Gotham?
seen Gotham. No.
Oh,
I've heard it's really good.
Please go see Gotham.
Okay.
Please, for me, see that.
Is it just one season?
4, 5?
No,
4?
5 seasons, 4 or 5?
4 or 5.
Well, I guess it's better than 900 episodes.
But it's good. I enjoy the Gotham TV series more than any other DC film.
Wow.
And I'll say that even in comparison to The Dark Knight.
Wow.
Oh.
I'm impressed.
See, now I'm intrigued, because
have you not seen it?
No. So I can't fairly say that. I can't argue. I can't argue that. We'll come back and see if I can argue that after I watch it.
Okay. Next retrospective, Gotham.
That's not a bad idea. You might actually get me to watch it now. I've wanted to watch it. I just never been like determined to watch it. You might have just given me a reason to do it now. Now you give me a reason.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, they're talking about Cameron Monaghan, who plays that part. They're talking about casting him as Cal Kestis in the series, which they should, because if they wouldn't, that'd be
the weirdest thing.
Forget it. It'd be just forget it.
It's like, what did he do? Oh, he went through like facial reconstruction or something. No, don't do that. Don't do that.
No. Wrong. Yeah. All right, guys. Final ratings. Obi-Wan.
10. Yep.
Yeah, I think.
By the way, I love the soundtrack. John Williams did it again.
Yes.
I love how much he creates so many diverse themes that still correlate to each other so well.
Yeah. Well, you know what's
I'm going to give it 10,000.
What was funny about that, Jeremy?
Well, because he put a rating as like a 9 out of 10. I'm like, who did 9? Which one of us did 9?
Ladies and gentlemen, we had a small glitch in the system. The AI took over for a second.
There we go. Singularity.
That was actually my one gripe I wanted to bring up. The music. John Williams only composed the Obi-Wan theme in this, and I could tell. I could tell. Because some of the music was good here, but some of the music I felt like, especially in the parts where they were showing the villains, the Inquisitors, I wasn't a big fan of the overpowering theme for the Inquisitors. It didn't feel like a Williams score. It didn't feel like it was just, Williams score kind of just has that mellow way of just kind of, it just melts into the film. Where this, it just didn't quite do that for me as much. But again, that's because it's not John Williams, so that's understandable. That's quite the bar. It's kind of what high bar is set.
We didn't have a theme for Obi-Wan. Like there was no Obi-Wan's theme, and I love it.
Yeah, just over the when they show the title of the show.
That was start listening to it. Like that's how good it is.
Yeah.
Have it on loop for 8 hours a day during work.
I'm not gonna lie. I watched the entire prequel series before this series came out, and I went, I love what they did with it. It's
the recap they showed before the series.
Yeah, that was helpful.
That gave me all the feels. Awesome.
I'm a 32-year-old grown man, and I cried during Obi-Wan Kenobi.
It's okay.
I'm not ashamed to admit it.
No, I wouldn't be ashamed at all. No,
I cried during through like every episode of Strange New Worlds too, but we'll get to that in another retrospective.
That's another retrospective, yeah. But okay, so that concludes Obi-Wan. The next retrospective we're planning on doing came from Jeremy Larson's idea book. You want to tell the audience about what's coming up next?
Well, because of the new film Prey coming out in August, we are going to go through the classic matchup of franchises, Alien and Predator.
Nice.
And we're going to start out with Alien, because if I'm going to be quite honest, after Aliens and after the first Predator, it all goes really downhill from there.
Definitely doesn't go uphill. That's for damn sure.
The chance for redemption, huh?
It goes uphill like a slight smidge, and that's about it. Like it's a roller coaster of two franchises trying to clash, and it'll be interesting to talk about.
Mutual destruction.
My question is, in what order do we watch the Alien movies? Technically, it should be what? Prometheus, Covenant, Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, Resurrection, correct?
Yeah.
Or maybe
we could do that. We're going to watch it to go back to the beginning.
Go back to how it all started.
That way it gets better every movie.
I mean, we could do it. We could do it in chronological order. I feel like it'd be best served to do it in release order.
Okay. So 1 through 4, then the 2 prequels?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's up to you. It's your show.
I mean, to be honest, maybe we're better off doing it that way because at least we're starting on a high note, and then just kind of. Although going the other way is not a bad idea either. Going up.
Going up, yeah.
Yeah, kind of. It goes up and then it kind of comes back crashing down.
It's gonna go back in time with the Alien films. Just go from the newest release all the way back to the beginning. And end it on the highest of high notes with the first Alien movie.
Right.
I'm just waiting to get the answer if there's ever going to be an Alien 5, because there's no ending to the franchise, and that pisses me off.
Yeah, there really is no ending.
No. And that's
It's
the sad
Alien.
part about it. I don't know. Even
Are
the
you
Predator
sure though?
franchise-
Like Alien 4 leaves a pretty big ending right there.
Well, I guess it yeah. I guess I don't know if it's satisfying, but
Horrific, maybe.
I have
Not
to
good.
watch it again. I'll judge it on the retrospect. We'll see how that's gonna go. Same with Predator. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on the Predator, because you said that you got some things to say about
Oh my
that.
Gosh, and then the crossover films, AVP 1 and then AVP Requiem.
Oh yeah, that's something that kind of stays here, and then the second one just.
It's an explosion of mixed emotions and ideas.
The movie where you can't even see the fights that are going on because it's so darkly lit.
I know that's one of
It's
the main
so
criticisms.
You can't see anything.
And that's
Anything.
Predator 2, Alistair. I'm sure you've seen it.
Which one?
Predator 2.
I haven't. Actually, I haven't seen any of the Alien or Predator movies. I'm so sorry.
That doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me.
It's
I have a
sci-fi,
very
but it's a different
limited-
kind of sci-fi.
It's body horror sci-fi.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's
if I didn't
it's
see it
not
before I got
everybody's.
married, there's sure as heck not going to be any chance that now.
You're not going to
that's
watch
pretty-
that with your children right now. You're going to watch it the first Alien with
You
your
want to watch
children. Just
It's just a baby. Don't worry. It's just a baby alien.
It's gonna be okay. It's just a baby.
oh, he's just resting. He's resting.
Daddy's just resting, darling. Daddy's just
Daddy,
resting.
why does he have a hole in his head? Oh, he had a headache.
Yeah, he took a little too much Advil, and it just created a. Yeah.
Oh,
But
God.
for the podcast, for that episode, or multiple episodes,
That's gonna be an interesting retrospective. That's all I could say about that one. That's good. You want to talk about a series that goes up and down, up and down? That
that's the both
that
of those
takes the cake.
series.
Yeah, those take the cake right there.
oh boy.
Yeah.
That sounds like
All
a
right.
great retrospective, Jeremy. Good pick.
Yeah. Yeah. But all right, everybody. Well, this has been fun. It's been great to have you back, Alistair. We have missed you. We've missed its
We
sticky
have.
moments.
What's your
No.
sticky moment?
It's great
Yeah,
to be
what is it
around
tonight?
other like-minded folk.
Yeah. Are you saying it's your favorite moment and it's sticky moment of the series? Finding us an Empire sympathizer.
Yep.
That's
I would
pretty
say
good.
so.
pretty good.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that would have been as awkward as that part in Lord of the Rings in Obi-Wan.
No, here's the it's sticky moment, okay? It's when the Grand Inquisitor shows back up again after Reeve has been stabbed. And he just goes, "You're no longer of use, third sister," and just walks away. Like, that's it. There's no other explanation. It's just he's back, and he's just like, you know what? Take a hike.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh. Yeah.
He's
I
got to be a
was
great
surprised
action
we
figure.
didn't see more of him.
Do you really want to see more of him, though? Do you really?
Not in that form. I really like
You
his
don't want to
cartoon
hear.
form.
You don't want to see the Egghead movie, like Star
Wait
Wars.
for
Egghead movie.
Coneheads.
Right.
Coneheads, the Star Wars.
Oh,
Coneheads, a Star Wars story.
oh, God. That's the next Star Wars spoof like Spaceballs.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Yes.
Yeah, that's coming. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening, everybody, and we hope to have Alistair back again real soon.
Absolutely.
Thanks again
So-
for having me, Mike.
No problem. Anytime. Anytime. We look forward to the next one. And we were going to see you all on Alien. Fun. That's all I'm going to say. Fun. All right.
Explosive.
Explosive. That's a wrap.
Cut and print.